Friska, I think we should leave.
Today we have a special green light with M. Night Shyamalan talking about his film, the movie Old. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and the like button on this video so we could do more of these types of videos. So let's go ahead and find out what we can learn from M. Night Shyamalan.
Seems like the most open space, this huge beach in this cove, and then as things become more and more weird and more threatening, and they can't leave, it becomes very claustrophobic for these individuals on this beach, and you can see them panicking and they're trying to get out. There's no doors to leave, and that suffocation the audience feels. And what used to be beautiful now becomes oppressive and dangerous. The water, which looks so beautiful at first, just becomes death to you. That slow turn from something that was safe to something that's unsafe was a beautiful goal of ours in the movie. I think, you know, when I was thinking of the premise, and I wondered whether audiences would be okay without a physical villain. You know, there isn't a raptor chasing them, trying to eat them. It's time. And would they be able to wrap their arms around that existential threat? But they do. They very much feel it, clipping at their heels the whole movie. I think it's a form of us being scared of dying. That when I say, hey, when you're 13 years old, are you thinking about, does a 13-year-old boy think about vulnerability? No, they don't think about anything. They're gonna live forever, right? Their perception of time is so slow that I'm gonna live in 80 more years or 70 more years, feels like 4,000 years to them. But if I sped it up that fast, where they're going, oh my, you know, I have till nightfall to live, you know, then it's suddenly extremely scary for whatever age you're at. And so it's about our relationship to time, and do we feel like this is a linear thing that ends, and is that the correct way to think about it? We're all so scared of dying. This is just another version of that. Sometimes I talk about ghosts, but this one is about time. You know, I think it's ultimately, if we were talking about a genre, it would probably be in the sci-fi thriller genre. But all of the films have a very strong dramatic film at the center of it that's really the engine underneath, the emotional engine, but the clothes are the genre. And I think from Sixth Sense on, that kind of fusion of drama and thriller has been the one that feels satisfying to me. When I sit to think about a movie, I think about my aunt who lives in Malaysia, and my cousin who's in London, and my other cousin in Singapore, and my uncle who lives in Australia, and I have family all around the world, and I think that all of those influences, especially the cinema from all the different places in the world as well, are in my movies, and it's an important part of who I am. And so when I tell stories, they're for the whole world, and United States is where my home is, but it's one of many places I'm telling the story to. And so to have a cast that represents so many of those countries, I mean, we had so many people from all the different countries, and so many of them did their accents themselves. It was a beautiful thing to have a story where people of all different backgrounds were just playing dad, mom, neighbor, doctor. They weren't playing their ethnicity. They were just playing being a dad or a mom or a husband, you know, and we were supposed to identify with them. That's a really beautiful thing, that we're at that place. It was paradise and hellacious. It was almost what the characters were going through, we were going through. We were obviously isolated because we were doing it during the height of the pandemic, so we couldn't go anywhere. I mean, you couldn't even, you know, stroll off of the beach and go to the local town. You couldn't do anything, right? The actors and I, we were just there, back to the hotel, back again. So we had that same sense of being trapped, but it was also beautiful and an intense feeling of this juxtaposition of something very scary happening in our lives, and yet we're in a beautiful place. And I think that thing of horror and beauty together is what makes Old, like, kind of special for audiences, that they see it and it sticks with them, that juxtaposition. As your body's growing, the matrix of your mind is changing as well. So you are a 40-year-old man. You're taking in the the situation as a 40-year-old man takes in the complexity of the way you're sitting and the way you looked at your watch. I'm catching all of that. Whereas if I was 12, I wouldn't catch that you glanced at your watch, or you actually a little bit, there's something disingenuous about what you just said. But at 40, you can feel it. You can feel those colors and the complexity. You don't have the life experience. So there's that gap in the life experience, but the matrix and how you're taking in the world is complex and subtle. So that was very specific for the actors. I said, don't make it seem like you are 12 and now you're taking in information like a 12-year-old. You're 40. And you're trying to make sense of all the information that your 40-year-old mind is telling you. It's slowed down and it's telling you to focus in on these kind of things. You're not firing thoughts like a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old. You're not all over the place and distracted by the light and kind of go, oh, I'm hungry. No. You're not doing that. You're taking in information in a certain way. That's different than in other movies where somebody grows really quickly, let's say, for example. So that was a really interesting task for the actors to get a hold of. Well, my kids are the reason I'm doing this movie, because they gave me the graphic novel for Father's Day. So very ironic of, a movie about aging and kids growing up, and your kids actually give you this graphic novel, and they found it's an obscure graphic novel they found in a comic book store. It's actually like a movie premise of like finding this obscure book, and Shauna, who directed Second Unit, is amazing filmmaker. I mean, all our kids grew up in a house of art, I always tell them when they were babies and a fan comes up to me and says, oh, I love your movies, and they walk away and they go, what do you think about that, Dad? And I'm like, well, that person paid for one of the bricks of our house. So you have to be gracious to them, And I said, and it's from the things that I make up in my head, so we're really, really lucky. And so they have really come to honor the art form of film and music and dance and all of those. They take it very seriously. And so Shauna has grown up in that environment and is an amazing filmmaker. And so it was a beautiful thing to be on one side of the beach shooting, and I see down the beach she's shooting something else. It's an amazing feeling. And at the end of the day, we were like, work buddies. At the end of the day, we would go and have a drink and eat something at the bar, at the hotel, and then fall asleep. And we would just chat about what happened. Oh, I can't believe the camera jammed on that thing. And we would share stories.
There's something wrong with this beach.
I think
What's happening?
Audiences can sense the author's value system. And they can, no matter how dark I get, and boy, do I get dark. I mean, I've done things in movies that you just can't do, right? You just can't do. I kill everybody, right? There's like, you could be a star, you could be a baby, you could be whatever. You're not safe in these movies. And the reason that I can do that and the audience goes with me is I think ultimately they're feeling that the person telling the story is hopeful and cherishes family, cherishes love, and really aspires to believe in the universe is a benevolent place. I never wanted you to feel safe. I wanted you to be figuring out something, then another thing comes on you, and now you're trying to figure out two things, and now a third thing comes on you. And now you go, okay, I think I got these three things, then another thing, and another thing, and then I'm trying to get you to let go. Eventually, you get to where the characters are, which is, I'll never be able to answer all these problems.
In the description below, I have IMDb links for Old and for everybody on that film, including M. Night Shyamalan, so you can go ahead in the rabbit hole of IMDb and check out all of his films and everything like that. I hope this behind the scenes of Old was very informational for you as a filmmaker, as well as it was for me. And all of his films usually are very, very, very inspiring and very much to myself as well. I have some videos on him here on this channel about Unbreakable and about how he writes his screenplays. Did you know that he has written Unbreakable while he was shooting The Sixth Sense? Maybe that might be helpful for you as a filmmaker or storyteller as well. So as a storyteller, let me know how you write your screenplays down in the comments below. So I'll see you here next time. Let me know which one of your favorite M. Night Shyamalan films and or screenwriting tips that are your favorite from M. Night Shyamalan. So I'll see you here next time for Snake Eyes. Later.